I lay awake under his arm, imagining him dreaming in color about tastefully decorated eggs on the shore and umbilical cords turned into tethers. Children anchor you to the home and to the man the algorithm assigned you to. The more babies, the less likely you are to run. 15 studies compiled from quantitative and qualitative data have confirmed this. I breathed too deeply, head shifting against the concave between his neck and shoulder. In answer, his trigger finger twitched against my hip as if to access data from the chip embedded in my thumb. Stay with me, Solène, Bastien said, starting the ritual with this, always. A kiss on my neck, shoulder, and instep. Then he was up, sweeping his firearm off the nightstand, stretching his neck, rolling his shoulders. Feet whispered against heated tile in the bathroom. The only sound was the bathroom sensor on the automatic doors, clicking them shut. A soldier is silent. He leaves no record of where he's been. I rolled over and rested my head against the pillow that held the shape of him. His gaze was on me always. I could ignore it for only so long. Thomas Jefferson stared at me from the antique French frame above the dresser. Powdered wig and skin. Wispy ribbon knotted around his throat, as if it were the only thing keeping his head attached. A story lived behind this portrait. I stared back at it sometimes and wondered what he saw in him, or whether she saw anything in him at all. If he could speak, he would warn Bastien I planned to leave him. He would remind him he could never trust a black woman. Hypersexual, manipulative, destructive. In polite company, the men called it sassy. Distrust lips that no longer mention home, he would say. Don't be fooled by no longer finding train schedules in her search history. She memorized them. Hey guys, I'm back again, and I'm here to do a review of The Blueprint by Raygiana Rashad. So this book is a debut by Raygiana Rashad. It just came out the month of February, and it is what you would call a dystopian, speculative fiction type novel. It follows the story of Solène. Solène is 16, and she has been assigned to be the wife of a head person in society who's called Bastien. So we are located in Texas, but it's in the very far, far future. This is a far, far future where all Black people are embedded with a chip that basically tells you everything about them, their health, everything. It even, will track where they are. And the algorithm controls who marries who. So there is no marriage for love or anything like that. And sometimes young Black girls are assigned to be married to Black men, but a lot of them are assigned to be with white men. So they're like concubines in a way, because a lot of these white men are already married to white women. So they basically will go in public to big events and things like that with their white wife, and then their Black concubine is on the side. So Solène, who is 16, a teenager in full force rebellion mode, is trying to get to Louisiana. So we're in Texas, and for the Black slaves in Texas, they look towards escaping to Louisiana, because if they go to Louisiana, they should be able to be free there. And so that's what Solène wants. But very quickly on, you realize that Bastien has other plans for her. The story is told in 3 timelines. So we have the timeline of now, the timeline of then, and then you have a 3rd timeline, which is from a character called Henriette, who is a distant relative who came over as a slave, who was brought over Middle Passage, and her name is Henriette. And in the story, Solène is trying to write the story of Henriette. Now, what the author tries to do in this story is she tries to take all of the difficult racial issues we have in America and lay them out in a different format in a different time period. And she chooses to do it in the far future where technology reigns. And this is what gives the story an extra something, is because we're realizing, oh my God, you cannot escape these people. They have this, embedded chip in their thumb from the age of birth, and they just can't just up and leave. They know everything about you. They know when you're about to get sick. They know all kind of stuff about you. So we're following Solène, and we see she has a best friend, and how her best friend has the same idea that she wants to eventually run away and escape to Louisiana. But these things just aren't that easy to do. But one day, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say nothing else about the storyline itself. But I will say this. I had some issues with the book. One issue was I wanted more from the timeline of Henriette, because I feel like she is sort of like the focal or the beginning of this budding story about the different women in the family. So Henriette is the beginning of that. And I wanted to have more of her story. There just isn't enough. I also wanted to have more on this world. World building was a bit spartiate, little scarce. I needed to know just a bit more about it, and she just tells us really the basics about this world. And the third problem I had was distinguishing between the two timelines of now and then, and that is the voice of the main character. So we have the main character's voice for now and the main character's voice for then. And in both cases, her voice sounds the same, when I think they should profoundly sound different. I can't tell you why, because I don't want to ruin it for you, but they should sound different, and they don't. And that's what kind of, was a little troubling as I would start to read the next chapter and be like, okay, I'd start reading the chapter and then I'd forget, is it then or now, that kind of thing. And that was a problem for me. Other than that, I find that this story is very interesting. I like the way she turns everything in the story. I would have liked a better ending, but I realized why she did it like that. But I definitely would read something else by this writer. And I hope that you guys will give her book, The Blueprint, a go. I know some people are going to have trouble with it because it's a white man with a 16-year-old black girl. They're going to have issues with that. But that is for a reason in the story. You'll understand when you start reading it. Be that as it may, the really good writing, and I highly recommend it. Please pick it up. Very, very good book. Get your copy, The Blueprint.